How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. In the past I made a video which was talking about some worthwhile investments for your account, things that were good to spend your money on, things that would be absolutely beneficial in the long term, and just good items to buy, you know. So in this video we're going to do that again because you guys liked that one so much and a lot of you said it was helpful, and I figured, you know what, there's definitely going to be more items that can be used in this sort of video, so we'll make part 2. And that's what we've got today. So hopefully you enjoy, hopefully it helps you out. If you didn't know all of them, leave a like. If you did, then hell, leave a like too, why not? Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if there is any other items you can think of, leave them in the comments below, and then other people can find out from you as well. Anyway, let's see what I can think of for you guys today. Okay, so the first item that I'm going to talk about in this video is going to be one for the low level players, or for the people who are just getting into membership maybe, or people who have returned to the game after a long break, or just new people. The low levels, this isn't an expensive item. So we're talking about the Ring of Fortune. The Ring of Fortune is great. It is a hell of a useful ring, and it's actually like super helpful for low levels too, and I'll explain why. First off, the main reason you may want to get this, and the main reason I get a ring like this, is once you wear it, or even without wearing it, you can still do the same thing. If you right click it, you can teleport to the Grand Exchange or Miscellanea, but you get instant teleport to the Grand Exchange. This cannot be interrupted. You can use this in boss fights and it will take you just here where the Grand Exchange entrance is. So that's unlimited. It is not like a Ring of Wealth where it has 4 charges. This is unlimited. You can use this over and over again and get to the Grand Exchange nice and easy. So before you have access to Prif, this is the fastest way to get to the GE. Next up, it actually gives a benefit to your drop rates at certain bosses. Anything from God Wars Dungeon 2 and before is probably the easiest way, but I'll put it on screen because there will be some like differences to that. But God Wars Dungeon 2 bosses, except for Telos, and God Wars Dungeon 1 bosses, and then a few other ones as well like KBD and QBD, will get their drops, the rare drops, affected by this by the small % chance for you to actually get a rare drop from there. So it's definitely worth using these bosses as the bosses are dying and stuff like that, because, you know, if you can increase the chance of getting a good drop, making a bit of money, it is absolutely worth the time to have this. I should probably mention that this costs around about 700k to buy at the moment, as I did recently just buy one and it did cost 710k. So that's just pretty good for a 710k ring. And it gives stats as well, pretty decent stats, and a free teleport, and the upgrade to all the different boss drops. Absolutely worth buying. Item number 2 in this video is going to be Cinderbane Gloves. Now, Cinderbane Gloves are pretty expensive, I would say. They're sitting around about 75 to 80 mil probably, so they are not a cheap pair of gloves. But however, these are incredibly useful, and you will use them on all 3 combat styles if they work at the boss that you are killing, or at the NPCs that you're killing. It could just be a Slayer task, and as long as these gloves work, they do become best in slot. The reason being is poison damage is applied from using these gloves, and it stacks with weapon poison as well. It basically ends up being a hell of a lot of extra damage as long as the target is not immune to poison, of course. So these gloves, the fact that they are actually hybrid and can be used across all combat styles, and they are best in slot in a hell of a lot of places, like so many bosses, these gloves are going to be the go-to gloves that you want to use. It makes these absolutely worth the gold investment in using them, especially if you are going to be combining that with weapon poison as well. These are incredibly useful at places like the Ambassador in ED3 too, because these spinners on the Ambassador during the spinning phase, the actual like idle things, whatever they're called, you can poison those too, which means even if you like miss one when it's got a little bit of health left, it could be dead by the time you get to the end of the phase. But also the weapon poison as you attack it just helps clear those a hell of a lot easier than if you didn't have them anyway. So for anyone looking to upgrade their glove slot, if you don't have Cinderbane Gloves, you absolutely want to grab these. These will never get thrown in the bank and just collect dust as far as I can tell, unless they release something that is just incredibly so much better. I just don't see these getting replaced anytime soon. The next thing worth spending your money on for this video is going to be the Planted Feet perk. This is a perk that you want to put on a weapon, and what it does is it increases the duration of your Sunshine or your Death Swiftness. This leads to a hell of a lot more damage, and I do believe it's actually one of the best perks that you can get in the game, so it is definitely worth getting this. Absolutely 100% is. However, it is quite expensive, and it can cost around about 35 mil, I think it is, per attempt. This is if you just want to get it with Aftershock 1, which is the one that I have. Most people will use this as just a switch, so usually Aftershock 1 and Planted Feet is absolutely fine, but having this can increase your DPS by quite a lot, because it changes your death swiftness or your sunshine duration from 30 seconds to about 38 seconds. There is some decimals in there somewhere as well, but that's not like the biggest deal to really consider. But yeah, like having an extended death swiftness and sunshine is insane, because you're going to be using that a hell of a lot throughout PVM. And if you can get used to the switch, or even if you just have this on as one of your main perks, because it is something you don't want to miss out on, it is absolutely worth bringing along, and you will use it all the time. You will always use this no matter what. This is going to be in the game. This is going to be a switch that is worth taking everywhere forever. As far as I can tell, I don't think there'll be anything that would replace this unless they make like a relic to apply it permanently or something. I don't know. But as far as I can tell, you will absolutely want to get this no matter what level PVM you are doing. This is worth doing. You can get this quite cheap as well. It's for about, I think, about 8 mil if you just get Planted Feet by itself. But then if you switch that with a weapon that has Aftershock on it, it will actually remove the Aftershock perk buff that you've already got. So that's why you want to get Aftershock 1 with it normally. However, if you can maybe have this on a main hand and your Aftershock is on an offhand, then you're absolutely fine to just switch to that. But you'll have to make sure that you don't swap from like a two-handed weapon that has Aftershock down to your Planted Feet switch that doesn't have Aftershock on it. So it's definitely still worth trying to get Aftershock on it, I would say. But if you can't, and you can't afford that, but you do still want to get this perk, it will still be worth having just Planted Feet by itself. So the Planted Feet perk is absolutely worth your money investment, and you will be using this perk a hell of a lot. I promise you this. I take this to every single boss that I go to. Another item that is really useful to invest your money into is going to be a Rune Pouch. Now, of course, if magic is your main combat style that you stick to, you're going to want one of these anyway, because you can put 4 runes into one of the bigger Rune Pouches, and it saves you a lot of inventory space. They're convenient. They keep the runes in them when you bank them, so you can just take the Rune Pouch out rather than having to take out the specific runes every time as well. But not only that, they also have a few other uses too. For example, if you are using NPC contact to get through contacting your Slayer Masters for extra assignments and stuff, then you can keep a Rune Pouch with you with those runes in it when you do your Slayer task, and you can still use that even if you're using range or melee to actually get through your tasks. Also, if you're doing farming, there is plenty of spells in there from the Lunar Spellbook as well. It usually will be the Lunar Spellbook that you're going to be using skilling stuff from, but bringing those runes as well when you're doing your farm run can take up quite a bit of inventory space. So of course, if you have a Rune Pouch, then you can chuck all of those runes in there. You could maybe get like a green Rune Pouch, throw all of your farming runes that you know you need in there, and then that you always know that if you ever need to go on your farming run, if you haven't got a preset, you can just grab out that green Rune Pouch and you're good to go. There are quite a few different sizes of the Rune Pouches, but it is definitely going to be worth upgrading to the biggest one, the newest one that came out with Croesus, meaning that you can get 4 runes in here rather than just the 2 or the 3. The reason being is you will use this for many different things at the same time, and you can switch these in and out, but having access to 4, if you are using magic, this will allow, 1 Rune Pouch can allow you to bring like 5 different spells if you bring the right combination of runes, but it can give you Exanguate, it can give you Insight Fear, it can give you Barrages, it can give you a lot just from 1 Rune Pouch. Not to mention, if you're not using magic, you will still likely want to have a Rune Pouch with you at some point if you are working on high-end PVM, because a lot of people use Vengeance, a lot of people use things like the Disruption Shield spell, which are on Lunars, but you're going to need to have access to those runes pretty much the whole time. You don't want to chuck all those runes in your inventory. You need that inventory space, so having 1 space that is going to have a pouch in it, allowing that to carry all your runes is incredibly useful. It really is. So if you are going to be doing any PVM, if you're going to be doing farming, and if you're going to be doing maybe even Slayer quite a lot, having a Rune Pouch is definitely going to be worth your time, and I would recommend getting one. Honestly, I really would. You won't need to get rid of it, and it's so far it has been that if you can get a bigger Rune Pouch in the future, they've always been able to be upgraded. So when the new ones came out, you just got your old ones out of the bank. You didn't need to do anything with them. You would just take the runes out, and then you can upgrade it straight to the newer one and chuck your runes back in. So any changes and upgrades to them in the future, I assume you'll just be able to use these to then upgrade them into something else. Alright, so next up we have the Essence of Finality. Now, I know this is an expensive item, and I know that a lot of people are going to know what this item is and know that it is absolutely worth getting at some point, but I just wanted to mention this one because it is definitely an item that is worth working towards for everybody. At some point, you are going to want to pick one of these up, and you can get away with just having the one for pretty much the entire time ever. You don't really need more than one. You are going to get to some points in time where you want to have more than one to put different spec weapons into it that you won't want to switch out. out, but you can eventually just kind of cope with just one. And that is why I wanted to mention this. So one essence of finality can be incredibly useful for PvM. Now it is pretty much just going to be for PvM, however it can have some uses in things like Slayer probably as well, as I'm sure there's plenty of spec weapons that will be incredibly useful at Slayer. For the people who don't know what an essence of finality does, because I'm sure there will be a few people, it is an amulet that you wear and you can put special attack weapons into the amulet. Once you use an item that has a special attack onto the amulet, it does consume it and it is removed and deleted, but the amulet will remember its special attack and you can use that by pressing just one hotkey, and you can use the special attack from any main hand weapon. Of course, as long as the main hand weapon you're using matches the style of special attack that you want to use as well. You can't use Dragon Claws while using a bow. You can't use Heron God Bow spec while using a staff. But basically you can have a Dark Bow spec in the essence of finality, and if you're using a Ascension Crossbows for example, you will get a tier 90 damage Dark Bow spec with your Ascension Crossbows. So it does scale up as well, but also the spec is incredibly useful and does a hell of a lot of damage. Having one of these is incredibly useful because you can switch in and out the cheaper special attack weapons that are still good for each combat style. So if you like to jump between combat styles, you'd like to go from magic to range to melee, you can switch these out whenever you want to. For example, a Gothic staff is ridiculously cheap from the guy in the Mage's Bank in the Wilderness, or you can get the Dark Bows and the Grand Exchange, they're really not that much, and you can get a set of Dragon Claws as well. You can switch these in and out when you need to switch combat styles and you won't notice the cost that much. It'll be worth doing and you get quite a lot out of it. Not to mention the Essence of Finality is the best in slot amulet as of the moment, and I don't really see it changing too soon. I think this will probably be best in slot for quite a while now. So it is absolutely worth investing a bit of money into one of these when you do eventually get to it. Of course, there's going to be things if you're working on upgrading your combat gear, there's going to be things you want to upgrade first, like your weapons and stuff, but this is definitely something that is worth it. If you're on the fence about whether it's worth buying an Essence of Finality or whether you should just stick to like a Amulet of Souls or something, this is definitely worth the investment, and it is an upgrade that you will want to get. Anyway, that is going to be the 5 items that I cover in this video. I hope that a lot of you guys do find some use out of it. I know there's going to be some items in here that some of you will be fully aware of, but there will be some people that find some useful things out of here too. And a lot of people are wondering what to spend their money on when they get a big drop for the first time and they're like, I've just managed to get a Eldritch Crossbow piece and it doubled. What the frick do I spend the money on? And you're like, you buy all the wrong things and then you regret it later on. So these things can be quite helpful. Like I say, hopefully it does help you out. If it does, you know what to do. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new around here and enjoy this sort of stuff. As always, thank you all so much to the channel members that support the channel that bit extra each and every month. Your names have been on screen as you can see right now. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye.